Welcome to calculating your V02max. So at this point, you have finished your testing. You have mile, and you need to figure out your VO2max. VO2, volume, oxygen, maximum volume of oxygen. So you're trying to figure out what's happening with your heart and how healthy it is. To figure out if you're in the healthy fitness zone, if you look down here at the bottom of the chart, you have to know your VO2max. The two pieces of information you need for the VO2max is your BMI, which you calculated earlier, and you need your cardiovascular test, whether that be the mile or the 20-meter pacer. So you need to find your VO2max sheet that coincides with your gender and age. So, for example, if you are a 11-year-old female, your BMI is 19, and let's say you ran, for example, Josie Jackson here ran a 9-minute and 31-second mile. When you look on here where it says, here's all your tests, you have the mile, you have the 20-meter pacer. We're looking at the mile right now. There is no 9:31. You have 9:22 and you have 9:46. So you're going to pick the time that is closest to your mile time. For Josie, that's going to be 9:22. As you did for the BMI, you're going to follow this row to where it meets up with your BMI, 19 for Josie. Where those two numbers meet, that is your VO2max. And you definitely want to keep the decimal because sometimes you only go up a fraction of on the VO2, and that's still improvement. For example, if you ran a 904 the next month, it's 44.7. So that 0.7 is showing movement towards a higher VO2max. So Josie has a 44 BMI. Her BMI is 19. Her mile time we're using is 9:22. Where those two meet up is 44 for her VO2max. So you're going to take that. If you're doing your fall testing, your winter testing, or your spring testing, you want to put this data on your your fall data sheet. Now, because you're doing the mile, that also means that you need to take and put your VO2max. Josie needs to put her VO2max for her September mile, and that's going to be 44. Now notice how on the BMI, it doesn't change until your height and weight changes. Your VO2max will change each month if your mile time changes. So you need to, every time you do your VO2max, you need to take your new mile time, your same BMI. Now, the pacer is a cardiovascular test also. It's just a different way to measure it. You will find as you do this, you may find that the mile is easier for you than it is the pacer. You may like the pacer better. So it just is a different way to measure your cardiovascular. So Josie did 24 on the pacer. So now we got to calculate her VO2max. We'll get an idea of which one she seems to do better with. Now, when you're looking at, again, we're going back to our VO2max lookup table. We're always doing 20-meter pacer, okay? You can just put a line through the 15-meter pacer. Don't even look at that. So 24, when we come over here, there's 23, there's 19, and there's 28. So 23 is going to be the closest. Again, we're using our BMI. So the two pieces of information you need is BMI and either your mile or 20-meter pacer. So looking at Josie here, 23 on the pacer and 19 for BMI, her VO2max is 42. So now for the pacer, her VO2max is 42. Now, is she in the healthy fitness zone? Let's look. So, mile or pacer, 11-year-old female. Now, as you remember, you have a 40.2. If she's 40.2 or, looking at the little alligator, it always wants to eat the bigger number, 40.2 or greater. So that means if she is 40, 4 on the mile and 42 on the pacer, she is greater than 40.2. So yes, she is in the healthy fitness zone for the cardiovascular. She also needs to, every time you run the pacer, she is going to put her VO2 max, her new VO2 max is calculated, which was 42. And looking at the mile and the pacer, her VO2 max is actually higher on the mile. So she actually did better on the mile for VO2 max than she did on the pacer. And that is how you calculate your VO2 max.